Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I'm here to bring you a battle between the 4 Dungeons & Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realms commander decks for Magic the Gathering. Over here we have Oars of Courage, there we have Draconic Rage, over there we have Dungeons of Death, and here we have Planar Portal. We'll be playing one standard commander game using their face commanders, and we will get started by rolling off to see who goes first. Oars of Courage rolls a 3. Draconic Rage rolls a 10. Dungeons of Death rolls an 8. Planar Portal rolls a 9, and so Draconic Rage will be going first. Draconic Rage draws a Decree of Savagery, Rishkar's Expertise, Clouth's Will, Exotic Orchard, Bordigan Hellkite, Forest, and Mountain. There is no early game here at all, and so I think we are going to mulligan this, and because this is multiplayer, we'll use our free mulligan. Now we have a Gruul Turf, Soul Ring, Forest, Magma Quake, Return to Nature, Horde Smelter Dragon, and Commander Sphere. There's no real action in this particular hand, but we do have a bit of ramp that can get us to the Horde Smelter Dragon, and so I think we're gonna keep this one. Dungeons draws an Island, Wand of Orcus, Grave Endeavor, Phantasmal Image, High Market, Plains, and Rod of Absorption. We can only cast the Phantasmal Image and the Rod of Absorption right now, and that leaves this deck with not a whole lot to do early on, so we are going to use our free mulligan here as well. Now we have a Propaganda, Ronom Unicorn, Evolving Wilds, Eternal Dragon, Wand of Orcus, Ashen Rider, and Plains. We only have 2 lands and nothing to really do. I guess if we can get to the Propaganda, that will keep us alive for a bit. So I think we're going to keep this, even though this is potentially a mistake here. Planar Portal draws a Terminate, Lorcan Warlock Collector, Arcane Signet, Grim Hireling, Swamp, and Gonti Lord of Luxury. I don't have any red mana, but I do have Arcane Signet, and I think that makes this a reasonable hand to keep for the time being. Auras draws a Curse of Verbosity, Angel of Finality, Nature's Lore, Bant Charm, Arcane Signet, Fleecemane Lion, and Robe of Stars. There are 0 lands, and so we must mulligan. Alright, now we have Fleecemane Lion, Forest, Path of Ancestry, Riverwise Augur, Neitherese Puzzle Wand, Plains, and a Realm Cloaked Giant. This is a better hand. Still not ideal because it's extremely slow, but we will keep it for the time being. Draconic Rage draws a Spit Flame, and we will play a Forest. We'll tap the Forest to cast a Soul Ring. This is an artifact. You can tap it to add 2 colorless. And then Draconic Rage will pass the turn. Dungeons draws a Darkwater Catacomb. We'll play the Evolving Wilds. This is a land you can tap to sacrifice it and search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. Go ahead and do that now to go ahead and grab a Plains. And then Dungeons will pass the turn. Portal draws a Mountain. We'll play a Swamp, and we will pass the turn. Oars draws an Ebony Fly. We'll play a Path of Ancestry. As a land that enters the battlefield tapped, you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. When that mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, scry 1, and then we'll pass the turn. Draconic Rage draws a Command Tower. Go ahead and we'll tap 3 mana and play the Commander Sphere. It's an artifact. You can tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity and sacrifice it to draw a card. And then we will play the Gruul Turf. Its land enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand. You can tap it for red and green. We'll bounce back to Forest. And then we'll pass the turn. Dungeons draws a Reassembling Skeleton. We'll play the Plains. tap both of these and we'll play the Rona Unicorn. This is a 2/2 unicorn, and you can sacrifice it to destroy target enchantment. Then we'll pass a turn. Portal draws a swamp. We'll play the mountain. We'll tap both of these and cast the Arcane Signet. It's an artifact. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Ors draws a forest. We'll play a forest. We'll tap both of these and we'll cast the Ebony Fly. This is an artifact. It enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it for colorless and pay 4 to roll a d6 until the end of turn. You may have Ebony Fly become an XX insect artifact creature with flying, where X is the result. Whenever Ebony Fly attacks, another target attacking creature gains flying until end of turn. And then we will pass the turn. Rage draws a Wolfgar of Icewind Dale. Then we'll play the Command Tower. This is land. You can tap it to add mana of any color in your commander's color identity. We'll tap out and cast the Horde Smelter Dragon. This is a 5/5 dragon with flying. And for 3 and a red, destroy target artifact. Horde Smelter Dragon gains +X/+O until end of turn, where X is that artifact's mana value. And Rage will pass the turn. Dungeons draws a Soul Ring. We'll play the Darkwater Catacombs. This is a land. You can pay 1 and tap it to add blue and black. We're going to tap the plains to cast the Soul Ring. We'll go to combat and we will attack the planar portal with the Ronom Unicorn. Portal takes 2 and goes to 38. Then we'll tap 3 mana and we will cast Propaganda. This is an enchantment. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature they control that's attacking you. And then we'll pass the turn. Portal draws a Shiny Impetus. We'll play a Swamp. And we don't like that dragon because it can really ruin our plans here. So rather than playing anything to the board, we're going to tap 2 mana and cast Terminate. This is an instant. It says destroy target creature. It can't be regenerated. Dragon dies. Portal passes a turn. Ors draws a Mantle of the Ancients. I'll play a Plains. The board no longer looks super scary, so I think we're inclined just to dawdle a little. We'll tap 4 mana and we'll cast the Netherese Puzzle Ward. This is an enchantment. As Focus Beam at the beginning of your upkeep, roll a d4, scry X where X is the result, and then Perfect Illumination. Whenever you roll the die's highest natural result, draw a card. Then we'll pass. Rage draws a Druid of Purification. We'll play a Forest. Seems like it'll slow down my opponent's lot, so we'll go ahead and spend 4 mana and cast the Druid of Purification. It's a 2/3 human druid. When Druid of Purification enters the battlefield, starting with you, each player may choose an artifact or enchantment you don't control. Destroy each permanent chosen this way. Rage will choose the Netherese Puzzle Ward. Puzzle Ward goes down. Dungeons will choose Portal's Arcane Signet. Signet destroyed. Portal will choose Dungeons Propaganda. Propaganda destroyed. Ors will choose Dungeons' Soul Ring. Soul Ring down. We don't have any strong incentive to use the rest of our mana right now, and so we'll hold our cards here and pass the turn. Dungeons draws a Terramorphic Expanse. We're going to spend 3 mana and cast our commander. This is Sephris of the Hidden Ways. This is a 2/3 legendary human wizard. Whenever 1 or more creature cards are put into a graveyard from anywhere, venture into the dungeon. This ability triggers only once each turn, and whenever you complete a dungeon, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Also play a Terramorphic Expanse. It's a land. You can tap it and sack it to search your library for a basic land card. Put it on the battlefield, tap, and then shuffle. We'll go ahead and tap, sack, and then search for a swamp. We'll go to combat and attack Auras with the Ronom Unicorn. Auras takes 2 and goes to 38. Dungeons passes a turn. Portals draws a You Find Some Prisoners. We'll play a Swamp. We'll tap 4 mana and we'll cast our commander, Prosper Tomebound. This is a 1/4 legendary Tiefling Warlock with Death Touch, and at the beginning of your end step, exile the top card of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play a card, and whenever you play a card from exile, create a treasure token. We'll pass the turn. We are going to exile a Underdark Rift. Ors draws a Colossus Hammer. We'll play a second Forest. We'll tap 4 mana and cast our commander. This is Gallia, Kindler of Hope. It's a 4/4 legendary elf knight with vigilance. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast or an equipment spells from the top of your library. When you cast an equipment this way, it gains when this equipment enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control. We'll go ahead and look. It is a masterwork of ingenuity. It is not something we want to cast at the moment, unfortunately. We will tap the forest and we'll also cast a Colossus Hammer. This is a equipment, and equipped creature gets +10/+10 and loses flying. You can equip it for 8, and then we'll pass the turn. Rage draws a Cinderglade. Go ahead and play the Cinderglade. It's a land, mountain forest, and it enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. We don't, so it'll enter the battlefield tapped. Go ahead and tap 5 mana and cast our commander. This is Frondis, Rage of Ancients, a 5/4 legendary dragon barbarian. With whenever it is dealt damage, you may create a 5/4 red and green dragon spirit creature token with. When this creature deals damage, sacrifice it. And whenever you roll 1 or more die, you may have Frondis deal 1 damage to himself. We don't have anything else worth casting at this moment, nor do we have any good attacks, and so we will pass the turn. We draw a Vanish into Memory, so I think we'll just tap 3 and cast the Wand of Orcus. This is a legendary equipment, and whenever equipped creature attacks or blocks, it and zombies you control gain Death Touch till end of turn. Whenever an equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create that many 2/2 black zombie creature tokens, and then we'll pass the turn. Through Mountain, we'll play the Underdark Rift from Exile. It's a land, you can tap it for colorless, or pay 5, tap and exile it to roll a d10, put an artifact creature, planeswalker, into its owner's library just beneath the top X cards of the library where X is the result. Activate only as a sorcery. We'll also get a treasure from Prosper. Tap 4, and we'll cast Gonti, Lord of Luxury. This is a 2/3 legendary Aetherborn rogue with Death Touch, and when it enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of target opponent's library, exile 1 of them face down, put the rest on the bottom of that library in a random order. You may look at and cast that card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though or a mana of any type to cast that spell. We'll choose Draconic Rage because it seems to have the most likely chance of having big hits. Draconic Rage has a Maddening Hex, Mountain, Skyline Despot, and Dragon Speaker Shaman. We'll go ahead and take the Skyline Despot. We'll end the turn. We'll exile the Exotic Orchard, and then we will pass the turn. We draw a Masterwork of Ingenuity. We could just Realm Cloak Giant and destroy everything, but I don't think anything is demanding that yet. So let's just use the Riverwise Augur here. This is a 2/2 Merfolk Wizard. When it enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards and then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. We draw a Lumbering Falls, a Imprisoned in the Moon, and a Port Town. Then we will put the Masterwork of Ingenuity and Imprisoned in the Moon on top of our library, with the Masterwork going on top. We'll play the Lumbering Falls. It's a land, and it's battlefield tapped. You can tap for green or blue. You can pay 2 green and blue and have it become a 3/3 green and blue elemental creature with hexproof until end of turn. It's still a land. We know that the Masterwork of Ingenuity is on top. We'll tap the plains and we'll cast the Masterwork of Ingenuity. It's an artifact equipment, and when it enters the battlefield, it enters the battlefield as a copy of any equipment on the battlefield. We will choose to make it a copy of the Colossus Hammer. It gains the ability to attach it to target creature you control. So we'll go ahead and throw it on Gallia as a Colossus Hammer, making Gallia a 14/14. We'll go to combat, and Draconic Rage seems the most dangerous, so we'll swing at Draconic Rage with Gallia wielding the Masterwork of Ingenuity as a Colossus Hammer. We don't want to take that much damage, so we will spend 2 mana and cast the Return to Nature. It's an instant. It says choose 1, destroy target artifact, destroy target enchantment, or exile target card from graveyard. We'll destroy the Masterwork of Ingenuity. Masterwork down. We don't want to trade, so we'll take 4 and go down to 35. Auras will pass a turn. Rage draws a Forest. We'll play the Forest. We don't love how we were attacked by auras, but we also don't like what Portal might have going on. We don't really have a good incentive to War Wipe either, so I think we're just gonna spend 5 mana and cast Wolfgar of Icewind Dale. This is a 4/4 legendary human barbarian with melee, and if a creature you control attacking would cause a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. We actually do have an opportunity to attack profitably here, so we're going to swing Vrondis at Dungeons. Dungeons can double block, but I don't think it's worth it, so we'll just take the hit and go down to 35. Then Rage will pass a turn. Dungeons draws Utter End. We don't have a lot that we can do here, so I think we're just gonna see if we can start generating zombies, I guess. We'll tap and attach the Wand of Orcus to the Ronom Unicorn. And then we'll see if we want a trade from Portal here. Portal's actually okay trading Gonti because we already got our value. Unicorn dies. That'll trigger Sephiroth and we'll venture. We'll go into the Lost Mine of Phandelvar, start the cave entrance and scry. We're going to put the clay golem on the bottom. We're hunting for lands. And then we'll pass the turn. Draw an Ogre Slumlord. We'll play the Exotic Orchard from Exile. It's a land you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. We'll get a second treasure. I think that this will give us a nice start here. We're going to spend 7 mana, including 1 treasure for red mana, and cast the Skyline Despot from Exile. This is a 5/5 dragon with flying, and when it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. At the beginning of the upkeep, if you're the monarch, create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. We'll get a treasure for our troubles. We are now the monarch. We'll use this to demarcate that. We'll go to our end step. We're going to exile the mountain, and we will also draw a card from the despot, getting us a Fevered Suspicion. That's from the monarch, and then we are the monarch, so we'll get a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. We'll use this die to represent the dragon, and then with this strong start, we'll pass the turn. We draw an Imprisoned in the Moon. We'll look at the top card, which is a Valorous Stance. It's not terribly helpful to us right now. We'll play a Port Town. It's a land. As it enters the battlefield, you may reveal a plains or island from your hand. If you don't, it enters the battlefield tapped and tap for white or blue. I think everybody's afraid of that monarch. We have a way of dealing with Imprisoned in the Moon, as well as a Realm Cloaked Giant. I don't feel great about imprisoning in it, because it'll ramp them. I also don't feel great about wrathing at this moment, but they'll just keep going off with that monarch. So I think I just want to reset and get rid of the threat. So we'll tap 5 mana and cast Cast Off. This is a sorcery adventure. Destroy all non-giant creatures. Then this will become an adventure. We'll lose the Riverwise Augur, and Galia will go back into the command zone. Rage loses Rondis, goes back to the command zone. The Druid of Purification and Wolfgar will also die. Sephiroth will go back to the command zone. Prosper will go back to the command zone, and the mountain will remain exiled. The Skyline Despot and the 5/5 will die. Despot goes to Rage's graveyard, and Auras will pass a turn. Rage draws a Rampant Growth. This is not ideal here. We'll tap the Commander Sphere and a Forest, and we'll cast Rampant Growth. It's a sorcery. Search your library for a basic land, put that onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. We'll grab a mountain. Then we'll tap our remaining mana to recast Rondis, and then we'll pass the turn. Dungeons draws an Esper Panorama. Go ahead and play the Panorama. We'll tap 5. We'll recast Sephiroth, then we'll pass the turn. We draw a mountain, play the mountain. We don't have a way of killing things, so the Lorcan isn't amazing here. I think we just want to get Prosper going again. So we'll tap 5. So we'll tap 6. and recast Prosper. Go to the end step. We'll exile the Reckless Endeavor. And then we will draw for our Monarch. We'll pass the turn. Draw a Valorous Stance. It's a good defensive card here. We don't have amazing activity here, so we'll just tap out and cast Realm Cloak Giant from exile. This is a 7/7 giant, and then we'll pass the turn. We have a Game Trail. This is kind of very low impact, and so we're going to float a red mana with the Commander Sphere and then sacrifice it to draw a card. We drew a Forest, so not especially exciting here. We'll play the Game Trail. It's a land. As it enters the battlefield, you may reveal a mountain or forest card from your hand. If you don't, in this battlefield tapped, you can tap for red or green. We have a forest right here. Well, we can blow up the board, but right now it doesn't seem like we really need to. I think we can deal with the giant by trading Vantress because we have an excess of mana, so we'll just hold here and pass the turn. Draw a Shriek Maw. Definitely wish we had more lands. I think we can try to get the Sephiroth going here, so we'll tap 3 mana and attach the Wand of Orcus to Sephiroth. We'll go to combat and we will swing at Auras with Sephiroth. Auras will decline to block. We'll take 2 and go down to 36. Dungeons will get 2 zombies. And then we'll spend 2 more mana. Cast a Reassembling Skeleton. This is a 1/1 skeleton warrior, and you can pay 1 in black to return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Now that we have some defenses, we'll pass the turn. Draw another mountain. We have to cast some things, so I think we play the mountain. We'll spend 7 mana and cast Lorcan Warlock Collector. This is a 6/6 legendary devil with flying. When a creature card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you may pay life equal to its mana value. If you do, put it onto the battlefield under your control. It's a warlock in addition to its other types, and if a warlock you control would die, exile it instead. We'll also go ahead and spend 3 mana, sacrificing 2 treasures to cast Shiny Impetus, and we will target the Realm Cloak Giant. This is a Aura enchant creature. It gets +2/+2 and is goaded. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, you create a treasure token. We'll go ahead and exile this, and then exile the next card, which is a Mortuary Mire. And then we'll also draw a card from the Monarch. It's a swamp, and then we'll pass the turn. Ors draws a Thriving Grove. We'll play the Thriving Grove. Land enters the battlefield tapped. As it enters the battlefield, choose a color other than green. You can have to add green or 1 mana of the chosen color. We'll choose white. Before we go to combat, we have to get rid of the Warlock Collector, and so we're going to tap 2 mana and cast Valorous Stance. This is an instant. Target creature gains indestructible until end of turn, or destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater. We'll choose the Warlock Collector. Warlock Collector dies. We'll go to combat and we'll swing at Rage, since they're the least protected, for 9. Well, we can't really do much about that, and so we're gonna take 9 and go to 26. Portal will get our treasure. Guess we'll just get our defenses up. We'll tap here and port down and cast a Fleece Mane Lion. It is a 3/3 cat with 3 green white monstrosity 1. As long as it is monstrous, it is hexproof and indestructible. They'll pass the turn. Prosper is the most dangerous thing here, but it's not going to run with the game just yet, so we'll hold and pass the turn. Rage draws a mountain. We'll play the mountain. I think we need to get the Realm Cloak Giant off the field since we don't have any other good defense here. But we don't have to Magma Quake until it's our turn. I think since we know we're going to do that, we'll go ahead and attack playing our portal because they're the one that's causing all the trouble here with Vrondis Rage of Ancients. We don't want to lose our value engine Prosper. We also don't want to lose the Monarch, but I think we can afford to lose it with all the cards that we have. So we'll take the hit and go down to 33. We'll lose the Monarch. Rage becomes the Monarch, and at our end step we'll draw. We get a Neverwinter Hydra, and then we'll pass a turn. We draw an island, play the island. Can't cast our 2 most powerful spells, and there's nothing that I feel terribly afraid of since we have Chump ability. And so I think we're just going to swing Sephiroth into Planar Portal. Portal declines the block. We'll go down to 31. We'll generate 2 more zombies. We'll use this die to demarcate the rest of the zombies. I think we just hold on defensively here, and we'll pass the turn. Draw on a mountain. We'll play the Mortuary Mire. The land enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, you may put target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. You can tap it to get black. We'll go ahead and put Lorcan on top of our library. We'll also get a treasure. We're gonna spend 4 mana and cast Grim Hireling. This is a 3/2 Tiefling Rogue, and whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create 2 treasure tokens, and then you can pay black and sacrifice X treasures. Target creature gains -X until end of turn. We'll also spend 5 mana. Cast an Ogre Slumlord. This is a 3/3 Ogre Rogue, and whenever a non-token creature dies, you may create a 1/1 black rat creature token. Rats you control have Death Touch. We'll swing Prosper into Rage for 1. I think the time has come to blow everything up, so we will tap out and cast Magma Quake. This is an instant. It deals X damage to each creature without flying and each planeswalker. That is 9 damage to everything. Bronzes will die and go back to the command zone. Sephiroth will die and go back to the command zone, as well as Reassembling Skeleton, the zombies. And that will trigger Sephiroth. We will go into the dungeon and get a 1/1 goblin creature token. We'll lose everything here. We'll get a bunch of rats though. These creatures will die. The Ogre Slumlord will trigger, and we will get 7 rats. This will represent the other rats. And then we'll pass the turn. We draw an Acidic Slime. So maybe we'll just try to grab that Monarch. We'll tap 4 mana to turn on the Lumbering Falls. We'll swing with the Lumbering Falls as a 3/3 at Rage. Rage takes 3 and goes to 23. Loses the Monarch. Don't have anything really interesting to do right now, and so we'll just pass the turn. We draw a Curse of Verbosity. Dragon of Rage draws a Rishkar's Expertise. We'll play the Forest. We'll tap out, and we will play the Neverwinter Hydra. There's a 0/0 Hydra, and as it enters the battlefield, roll XD6. It enters it with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the total of those results. It also has Trample and Ward 4, and we'll roll 6 D6s. That is 13 counters, and then we'll pass the turn. We draw a Swamp, play the Swamp. The Hydra is scary, so we'll play 2, and we'll cast Shriek Maw. It is a 3/2 elemental with Fear. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target non-artifact, non-black creature, and you can evoke it for 1 in black, which is what we're doing. We'll pay the ward cost. The Hydra goes down, and we'll end the turn. The Shriek Maw will die. We'll play the Spine Rock Knoll. It's a land with Hideaway. You can tap it for red and pay red and tap. You may play the card. You may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if an opponent was dealt 7 or more damage this turn. We're looking at a Chaos Wand, a Throne of Chaos, a Is It Chemister, and a Shadow Blood Ridge. I like the Chaos Wand, so we'll go ahead and hide that under the Spine Rock Knoll. And then we'll put these on the bottom. We'll spend 7 mana to cast Lorcan Warlock Collector. We'll also swing 4 rats at Rage and 3 rats at Auras. Auras can't block, we'll take 3 and go to 33. The Monarch passes. Portal becomes the Monarch. Rage takes 4 and goes to 19. We'll end the turn. We draw a Mountain. Auras draws a Basilisk Collar. We'll tap 6 mana and cast Gallia again. Look at the top card of our library, which is a Forest. We'll spend 1 mana to cast the Basilisk Collar. This is an equipment. Equipped creature has Death Touch and Lifelink, but that is all we can do, so we'll pass here. Rage and taps. We draw Berserker's Frenzy. We have absolutely nothing good to do, so we're just going to hold our cards and pass. Draw a Nihilor. We have to deal with that Lorcan, unfortunately. So we'll tap 4 and cast Utter End. This is an instant. Exile target non-land permanent targeting Lorcan. Lorcan is exiled. That opens the door to get a Monarch, so we'll tap 3, attach the wand to the Goblin, and attack Planar Portal. Portal will take 1 and go to 30, and we'll lose the Monarch. Dungeons gets the Monarch, and we'll get a zombie. Then we'll pass the turn. We draw an island. We draw a Wild Magic Sorcerer. We'll play another mountain. Yeah, we'll tap 8 to recast Prosper. We're going to go to combat and swing everything at Rage. We don't have anything good that we want to do here, so we'll take 7 and go to 12. We'll tap red to trigger the Spinerock Knoll's ability, and we'll cast the Chaos Wand from exile. That'll get us another treasure. And then we are going to pass the turn. The forest, we'll play the forest. I think we need to get rid of Prosper, and we have the right tools to do it. So we'll tap and cast Imprisoned in the Moon on Prosper. This is an aura, enchant creature land or planeswalker. Enchanted permanent is colorless land with tap for colorless and loses all other card types and abilities. Prosper becomes a land after having exiled the card, which is a swamp. Look at the winged boots on top. I think this is worth casting, so we'll tap this and the planes to cast the winged boots. It's an equipment. Equipped creature has flying and ward 4, and it equips for 1, but it gains this ability, so it'll equip immediately to Gallia. Then I think we want to get rid of Prosper before they go too wild, and so we'll spend 3 mana and cast Curse of Verbosity on Planar Portal. This is an Aura Curse. Enchant player. Whenever enchanted player is attacked, you draw a card. Each opponent attacking that player does the same. We're in a good place to attack, and so we'll swing with Gallia for 4. Before Portal takes damage, we're going to tap out, sacrificing the treasures to give the Chaos Wand a swing at targeting Dungeons. Dungeons has a Choked Estuary, Thorough Investigation, Dungeon Map, and a Plague Crafter. It's a whiff. Portal will take 4 and go to 26. We'll draw off that, getting a Plains. I think I played the land per turn, so we are done here. We'll pass the turn. We draw a Gratuitous Violence. I mean, we're not doing anything else, so we might as well cast it. Not much else to do but recast Frondis, so that's what we'll do. Then we'll pass the turn. Draw Thriving Heath. At this point we don't need the fixing, so we'll just play the island here. Is there anything that we want to eradicate here? We can't really deal with that. We just eat the flying ability over there. So I think we need to get rid of the hammer, actually. It seems more dangerous. First thing we do is we're going to attack Portal for our free card. We draw a swamp. Portal takes 1 and goes to 25. We get another zombie. We'll tap out. We'll cast Ashen Rider. This is a 5/5 Archon with flying, and when it enters the battlefield or dies, exile a target permanent. We'll exile the Colossus Hammer. Hammer's gone. Alright, I think our defenses are good. We'll end the turn. We'll draw our Orzhov Basilica. We draw a Thyssus. Play the Swamp. We'll spend 4 mana. Cast the Wild Magic Sorcerer. This is a 4/3 Orc Shaman, and the first spell you cast from exile of each turn has Cascade. Let's just go ahead and tap out, see if we can get out of this somehow. And we'll cast Fevered Suspicion. This is a sorcery. Each opponent exiles cards from the top of the library until they exile a non-land card. You may cast any number of spells from among those non-land cards without paying their mana cost, and it has a rebound. Put this on top of our deck to remind us to rebound it. Oris exiles a Viridian Longbow. Rage exiles an Anger. Dungeons exiles a Hostage Taker. Portal will cast the Hostage Taker from exile first. This is a 2/3 human pirate. When it enters the battlefield, exile another target creature or artifact until Hostage Taker leaves the battlefield. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast that spell. We'll steal the Ashen Rider. Casting Hostage Taker will trigger the Wild Mage Sorcerer. We'll Cascade. We have V-Devil. We'll go ahead and cast V-Devil, targeting Vrondis. Vrondis goes back to the command zone again. We'll cast Anger. Anger is a 2/2 incarnation with haste as long as it's in your graveyard and you control mountain creatures you control have haste. Then we'll cast a Viridian Longbow. This is an equipment. Equipped creature has tap. This creature deals 1 damage to any target. You can pay 3 to equip. We have an open shot at Vrondis, so we'll go ahead and swing Anger and all of the rats into Vrondis. Vrondis takes 10 and goes to 2. Then Portal will pass the turn. We have a Storvault Frost Giant Jarl. We have a Brainstorm on top of the deck. We'll play the Plains. We'll spend 2 to equip the Basilisk Collar to Gallia. Then we'll spend 7 and cast Storvault Frost Giant Jarl. It's a 7/7 legendary giant with Ward 3. Other creatures you control have Ward 3. Whenever Storvault enters the battlefield or attacks, choose 1. Target creature has base power and toughness 7/7 until end of turn. Target creature has base power and toughness 1/1 until end of turn. We'll give Gallia a 7/7 and we'll attack into Portal for 7, gaining 7 life to go up to 40. Portal goes down to 18. And then we'll pass the turn. We'll also draw off that attack, getting a Brainstorm. Then we'll look at the top card, which is an Argentum Armor. This is pretty cool. We'll pass the turn. Rage and taps. Draws a mountain. We'll play a mountain. Just cannot draw creatures. We'll spend 11 mana to recast Vrondis. And then we'll pass the turn. Draw a Port Town. Play a swamp. Alright, we'll spend 5 mana and cast Nihilure. This is a 3/5 legendary horror, and when it enters the battlefield, for each opponent, tap up to 1 untapped creature you control. When you do, gain control of target creature that player controls with power less than or equal to the tapped creature's power for as long as you control Nihilure. And whenever you attack the creature an opponent controls, you gain 2 life, and that player loses 2 life. We'll take the Hostage Taker back. And then it looks like Portal's actually less dangerous than Auras at this point. But we do get the card for attacking Portal, so we'll attack Portal with the single Goblin. Portal takes 1 and goes to 17. Have to have a zombie for that. We'll get another zombie. This will represent the zombie. There's one of them. We'll play an Orzhov Basilica. So land it enters the battlefield, tap. When it enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand. You can tap for white and black. We'll go ahead and bounce a swamp back to my hand. We have 4 mana open. I think we're going to keep that for Vanish into Memory in case we need that. Not sure what will be vanishing, but here we are. It's probably actually going to be a Hostage Taker. Then we will pass the turn. We draw a Commander Sphere. We're going to recast Fevered Suspicion. Wars has an Argentum Armor. Rage has a Borgin and Hellkite. Dungeons has a D-Spark. We'll start by casting the Borgin and Hellkite. This is a 5/5 dragon with flash and flying, and when it enters the battlefield, it deals 5 damage, divided as you choose among any number of targets. This is cast from exile. We'll go ahead and cascade. We're getting Piper of the Swarm. This is a 1/3 human warlock with rats you control have menace. You can pay 1 black to create a 1/1 black rat creature token, and 2 black. Tap, sacrifice 3 rats to gain control of a creature. The Borgin and Hellkite will blow up the Nihilure. We saw something coming, so we'll tap out. And we'll cast Vanish into Memory. This is an instant exile target creature. You draw cards equal to that creature's power at the beginning of your next upkeep. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. If you do, discard cards equal to that creature's toughness. So this now goes onto the stack. We'll exile the Hostage Taker. This is temporarily exiled. And as it exiles, the Ashen Rider returns. The Ashen Rider will blow up the Wild Magic Sorcerer. Wild Magic Sorcerer is exiled. Nihilure will die. And then Portal will cast the Argentum Armor. Argentum Armor is an equipment. Equipped creature gets +6/+6, and whenever a equipped creature attacks, destroy target permanent. We'll also cast D-Spark. This is an instant exile target permanent with mana value 4 or greater. We will exile the Ashen Rider. Ashen Rider is exiled. And then we'll go to our draw phase. We draw a Bag of Devouring. We'll play a Mountain. We'll spend 1 mana to cast a Bag of Devouring. This is an artifact. Whenever you sacrifice another non-token artifact or creature, exile it. You can pay 2 to sack another artifact or creature to draw a card. And you can pay 3 tap to sack a Bag of Devouring to roll a d10. Return up to X cards from among cards exiled with it to their owner's hands, where X is the result. We're going to spend 6 mana to equip the Argentum Armor to the Borgiden Hellkite. We're going to attack with 1 rat into Dungeons. Attack the Borgiden Hellkite into Auras. We're going to attack 2 rats into Rage, as well as the Anger into Dungeons. The Argentum Armor will trigger and will destroy the Winged Boots. Winged Boots goes down. Auras takes 11, it goes to 29. Dungeons takes 1, it goes to 34 and loses the Monarch. Rage dies and will lose everything that Rage has. This means Anger and the Borgiden Hellkite are both gone. We'll spend 6 more mana to equip the Argentum Armor on a rat, making it a 7/7. We'll pass the turn. We draw a mountain. We draw a Shielding Plaques. We'll spend 5 mana to cast Acidic Slime. This is a 2/2 ooze with Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target artifact or enchantment or land. We'll target the Argentum Armor. Take a look at this. It says SRAM, Senior Edificer. That's good, but that's not what we need right now. I think we have a good play here. We're going to tap out and cast Mantle of the Ancients. This is a aura. Enchant creature you control. When it enters the battlefield, return any number of target aura or equipment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to enchanted creature. And enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each aura and enchantment equipment attached to it. So we'll stick this on Galia. We'll get back the Argentum Armor, the Winged Boots, and the Masterwork of Ingenuity, which will double as a second Argentum Armor. That'll make Galia a 21/21 with Lifelink, Death Touch, Flying, Ward 4, Ward 3, and Vigilance. And then we will need to take out Dungeons, actually, because of the hostage taker that they have incoming. So we'll go to combat, swing Galia into Dungeons, and Storvald into Portal, making the Piper a 1/1. Dungeons can't block the Flyer and will take 21 commander damage and perish. We draw 1 from attacking Portal. We get SRAM, Senior Edificer. We'll chump Storval with a rat. And then Auras will pass the turn. The Monarch transferred over and we'll draw an Utopia Sprawl. We'll also look to see that there's a Paradise Root remaining on top. We draw a Rakdos Signet over here. We'll play a Mountain. We need to take out Galia. Do so, we can use Physis. 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll need 7 more mana to break through. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That'll pay for the ward. Casting Phthisis. This is a sorcery. Destroy target creature. Its controller loses life equal to its power plus its toughness. And has to spend 5 for 1 in the black. So Galia is destroyed, and it is a 21/21. And so the ward breaks, and Auras will lose 42 life and perish, giving the win to Planar Portal. So that is the Dungeons & Dragons Adventures in Forgotten Realms Commander decks. Let me know what you thought about this game in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of my videos, you can subscribe. This is Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.